All right. Angela Giles here, the host of the Savage Angel podcast. I have David Hori on today. David, thank you so much. It's great to see you. You should follow David on LinkedIn. He's got some really, really fun videos. I've been watching them. So it's really cool. So we'll give you all of the information in the description below on how to follow David and his fun videos. So David buys businesses and he coaches business owners on how to sell or what else do you do? You do so many things.
Yeah, I coach business owners of 6 to 7 figure revenue businesses and scaling, really. I'm an expert in scaling. So I buy businesses and I coach business owners in scaling their own businesses.
Well, I think it's really fun because the first time that we talked, you were telling me a story about a business owner that wanted to sell, but they weren't really bringing money in. And they thought that, their brand would be worth how much? Like a lot of money. I remember, David, we had that conversation. And I think that's goes right into some of the questions I have for you. Do you want to share that, just that little tidbit? I just think it's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, this happens all the time, right? Where
Yeah.
you build a business and you spend decades investing your blood, sweat, and tears into building a business with little thought about what happens. And I don't think many people stop to think about your business either sells or you just close the doors and stop taking customers and slowly wind things down. And so, yeah, I think the business that we were talking about, I'm trying to recall, was a manufacturing business that is super valuable in that they do things that are unique worldwide, and they have a trusted brand and all these great things in place, but ultimately aren't really sellable because they've got a lot of family in place that also want to exit. There's an aging out team. There's not a lot of systems and processes in place to allow a new business owner to step in and take over. So there's just a lot of things that we don't have to unpack right this second that makes a business sellable despite having something and offering a service or producing something that is incredibly inherently valuable.
Well, and I think that that's really interesting because I have some questions for you, and I think it leads right in to um, a business being sellable. What makes it sellable, but also, really standing out to buyers?
Hmm. So when I look at buying businesses, I'm looking at a few key things, and I think this is pretty standard across the boards. You're looking at history and tenure because that's a great predictor of, is this going to continue into the future? There's so many businesses that get started, and by 10 years into it, 90+% of those are no longer around. So tenure is a great indicator. And then beyond that, we're looking at the team size. So is the owner doing everything or super involved in the business, or have they surrounded themselves and built a team around them to really deliver on the work? Beyond that, there's so many other metrics that you can go into, location and the demographics of that, MSA or region. Is it growing, et cetera? The industry, there's a lot of other things, but those are two big filters right off the bat: tenure and then the team and kind of owner involvement.
Well, that's really interesting because my thought is, if the owner is so involved and sort of micromanages the team, that would be hard if you want to sell if the owner was going to step away, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, you know, people who are high performers and great at what they do, they have a lot of pride in their craftsmanship, and they have incredible expertise. And I hear this all the time. Nobody I hire can do it as good as me. And that's probably true. The key to breaking free and really creating a business of value is recognizing that if somebody else is doing it even 80% as good as I can do it, that's 100% awesome, right?
That is.
And and you have to put those people in place and create systems and processes for, people with lesser skills to be able to still consistently deliver that service, that product, et cetera, consistently.
Well, I think that that's really important to think about because at the end of the day, right, nobody is you. Nobody has put in as much blood, sweat, and tears into your business except for you. And I think that what's really important is to be able to take, say you find someone to take your place because you want to sell your business, is to make that opportunity for that person to grow in your, yeah, exactly.
Opportunities for those people that you hire. I see this, a lot too. You hire a great person and then you smash them down, because you keep pulling things back from them and say like, oh, you're not doing it the way I do it. I'll take it back. And they're not developing, they're not growing into it, they're not functioning in the capacity that you hired them to do that. And then, yeah, to your point about longevity, you want those people to remain vested in growing your business. And a great way to do that is to give them more responsibility.
Exactly. Make them leaders in their own right, I think. When it's really interesting to me, we're talking like the big baby boomers right now with all these service-based industries. Let's talk a little bit about that because, in the baby boomer category, obviously, computers are here now, the internet, all of that, and you've had to learn that, especially if you grew up in an era where you didn't have internet, right? So then we throw AI on top of that on the mix, where I know because I've talked to a lot of business owners that are baby boomers that want to sell their companies, but they haven't brought in the new things like AI. I think that that could potentially impact the value of their business. What do you think about that, David?
This might be a little contrarian, but I think
I
there's
love
there's
it.
two schools of thought.
Okay, let's go.
One, there are buyers that absolutely are looking for people that have put in place technology and systems and AI, and they're with the times and they're going to pay a premium for that business. There's another category, and probably a bigger category, that has a thesis around how are they going to add value to the business. And so they're actually looking for businesses that have been overlooked by technology, that are doing things manually, and they're understanding, I'm going to buy this business and it's already valuable, and the value add is implementing AI from day one, or these other systems and technologies. And so I think there's two schools of thought
Oh,
along those lines, if
absolutely.
that makes sense.
Well, and if you think about it, I think that you're right. I think there's a huge category of service-based business owners that don't have not implemented technology. I was actually talking to someone that has they do a lot of paving of like, airport runways and things like that. I mean, he worked in I don't even remember like 30 or 40 different states in the United States doing that kind of work and he developed a paving software that through AI and he said to me, "You don't know how many people that do paving or asphalt, it's all paper, pen and paper, pencil and paper." And I thought, wow. So if someone owned a business like that and they want to sell it, hey, you could bring more value to it, like we were talking about before, by adding some more technology. Or it's a good opportunity for a buyer to come in and get a great business, pay with the going rate and add a lot more value and streamline it by implementing a lot of AI tools.
Absolutely. Yeah. You see this, for businesses that are buying businesses at scale, like private equity companies,
Yeah.
right? They're looking for that low hanging fruit where they know they have a template, they have a playbook that they implement day one post close to like really start juicing things in some of these businesses. So that's absolutely a viable kind of strategy, I guess.
So with the businesses that are coming to you that you're looking at buying, what do you think you would say the mindset of the owners is, and how could they improve that mindset if they're going to sell their company? Because I know it's their baby, right?
It is their baby. And every seller is different. And that's kind of the thing I love about
Yeah.
buying businesses is you get to hear their stories, learn about their baby, understand, kind of how they got to where they are. And they have a lot of different priorities and movers and motivators. But if I'm going to paint broadly, there's a few. There's often the business owner that is completely out of gas, right?
Yeah.
They just can't wait to hand it over. And they think that this is going to be, an overnight process. And they're already, their mind's in Aruba or wherever they're vacationing. They stole their money. Exactly. There's worse places than Aruba that I can imagine pretty easily. There's others who, have no idea, kind of on the other end of the spectrum. What are you going to do after you act, let's say sunny day path. I buy your business. We go through this, everything works out and you get your payout. What are you going to do afterwards? And they've never stopped to think about that. Never. And actually, you'll see a deal fall apart for no other reason at the very finish line than they realize, I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. Like, I just can't go through with this. This is my identity, right?
Exactly.
Wrapped up into a business. So there's all different kinds of mindsets. And there's some that's just like, hey, I just don't, there's like a list of things I don't want to do anymore. And if you buy my business and I can do less of that and you do more of it and I can still be involved, like I could do this another 20 years, right? So there's all kinds of different mindsets.
That's really, really interesting. So, what kind of businesses are you looking to buy? And I know I'm sure you've got a pool of people too that are looking to buy that you could do some connecting as well, I assume.
Absolutely. Yeah. So my current focus is Idaho-based businesses. I
Okay.
live in Idaho and I want to invest in the local economy here. I love small local businesses, having small local options, not just big conglomerates, but really creating local jobs and opportunities and really developing that. So that's my primary focus. And then beyond that, I have strategic partners in a couple of different searches. I'm looking at e-commerce businesses across the nation. And then another niche that I'm really focused on is related to water. So think well drilling, think pump install and maintenance, septic install and maintenance, that kind of stuff. Within the Intermountain West region, I have a third generation well drilling partner who we're working together and have some really exciting ideas and things in the hopper for really growing in that specific niche.
That's really, really, really interesting. It's so fun to talk to someone that buys businesses. So let's go back to Idaho and you're talking about local businesses. What do you do when you buy these businesses? Because obviously you must have some sort of team in place or something because if you've bought several businesses, I assume that you just have the teams that are currently there running them or do you have a special formula for that?
So I don't know that there's a specific formula, but I think in terms of frameworks. And again, kind of going back to where we started our conversation, one of the main things I'm looking at when I look at a business is do they have a team in place to run? As we transition things, I don't want to do too much initially. I want to understand the current state of things and not change too many things and then, have it get out of control where we're not sure like what did we change that created this output. So I look at really understanding the current state of the business, understanding the team, et cetera. Are there risks like flight risk, people that are going to want to leave? Do I need to boost up any specific area? And then I have a framework and that generally starts with revenue, right? Is there a way to start increasing revenue pretty early on so that we have more money to work with in terms of servicing the debt, in terms of growing the business, in terms of just optionality for how do we want to scale these things?
So I think that's very, very I love the idea of a framework. I think it's really important, especially if any of you listeners are thinking about buying, your first business. I follow someone, I don't remember his name, but I could get it to you later, David. I follow this guy on TikTok and I think he has 8 to 10 service-based businesses that he's bought from baby boomers. And me working with a lot of service-based businesses in marketing, sales, and AI, I know. In fact, I ran an HVAC department one summer. It was fascinating to do. And it was so stressful. I mean, I'm talking 12-hour days. This is before AI. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I will never step foot into an HVAC company again.
Mhm.
Please, I promise. And if my AC breaks, which it did this past summer, so the money, it's cost so much these days. So I'm so nice to people that are service-based employees. I mean, the kind of work they do, like I live in Vegas, super hot, and the kind of customers that we call, my goodness. I mean, so I guess for me, I think about that kind of business, and then this guy owns 8 or 10 of those kind of businesses. He does not have his hands in those each business every day, right? Like that's just impossible. But what he's done is he's made sure that the management in each business is, running tight, like what you said, make room for improvements, but then he's got a management team that helps manage like all of these, say, 10 businesses. So he's not like in the day-to-day grind. And I'm curious if you would agree with like a framework like that, David, or would you recommend something else?
I mean, first of all, I would absolutely love to know who this person is when you
Yeah,
have time to put that together, because I do absolutely believe in establishing leadership teams. And that's the
yeah.
thing that I mostly coach business owners on. If you want to sell your business, if you want to scale it to the next level, often it's about establishing and developing that leadership team around you so that you aren't involved in doing everything. You can elevate your view to be more strategic and working on the business, not in the business. And, it's inclusive of putting in processes and KPIs and bringing together the right leaders and giving them that framework to build within is absolutely at the core of what I coach business owners on.
Well, I think that that's really important. And I was in awe of this guy just because I'm like, I remember that summer, I'm like, "There's no way in God's green earth I would ever buy a business like that," right? But, it's a different mind frame when you, like, own it's almost like I mean, it's your streams of income, you look at it a little bit differently. You have other people that handle the day-to-day grind. I mean, that's just not what you do when you buy different businesses and you have multiple, right? There's a word for it, but I don't remember the word.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, and owning multiple businesses is a forcing function to implement that kind of stuff,
yeah.
but there's no reason why you shouldn't implement that if you only own one business. Like either way, that's going to be key to again being able to sell, being able to take a step back, de-risking your business. If you got abducted by aliens, right? Like tomorrow, like would your business keep running without you? You don't have to have multiple businesses, but that is a forcing function often.
Well, I think you hit it on the head. It's like that forcing function where you put these processes in place. You let your team function and run on their own. They don't have to come to you for everything. And that makes your business much more valuable. And so when you're ready to exit, you have a buyer that's ready to take it on. I mean, I think that that's the key. And I will tell you, like being involved in marketing and sales and now AI with businesses in the service-based industry for 23 years, I've seen that over and over where teams, like, they literally come to the 1 or 2 people and constantly barrage them with questions because they first of all, their SOPs might not be in place, their systems are a mess, they think they need more clients, but what they really need is to clean up their back end first and then potentially get more clients because they can't handle the the influx of new leads and new clients because their processes are just not ironed out. So I like what you said, David, about making sure that you have everything dialed in first before you actually put your business up for sale or before someone like yourself would buy.
You just highlighted something I think is really critical to recognize, right? It's just like so many business owners I talk to think that like, growing revenue is the thing that they need to do or whatever that is. And when I look at a business, I look at what happens if we 10x this business tomorrow, what breaks first? And to your point, if you haven't focused on delivery or back end systems and things like that, actually nexting your sales or your revenue and things like that would be massively detrimental to a
Yes.
business. That's a great call out.
No, it definitely is. I'm just under the hood a lot, and that's why that's the thing I notice, right? It's interesting. So, David, one last question for you. How do business owners find you, like, in order to talk to you about either selling or buying a business?
That's something that I probably need to talk to you about and
Well, then there we go.
positioning myself. I'm not in a stage where I'm actively attracting business owners to me. It's a very nuanced kind of activity. And
Right.
so I actually am out there generating a lot of leads and reaching out to them. I go and find specific businesses and regions and industries at a certain revenue threshold that I want to engage and speak with. And so it's more outbound for me. There are people that have great brands and are really good at attracting those kinds of business owners. And I'm just at the infancy of starting to unpack what that looks like for top line operators.
Well, I'm excited about your top line operators vision and what you're doing right now. And I will tell you flat out, there are so many business owners that are looking at exiting in the next 3 to 5 years, right? I mean, a lot now, but like so many of the baby boomers. So I think you're in a wonderful position to help people and you have that experience. And I will tell everyone, David has some great videos on LinkedIn, so you must follow him. So, no, you're fine. You're fine. And David, yeah, I mean, I think that you should get out on some other different channels. There's lots of things, like for example, when I first started TikTok channels and I would talk to business owners, I'm like, if it made sense, get on TikTok. Well, that's only for kids that dance. No, it's not. Like it's completely changed. I mean, you get out there, right? Instagram Reels. I mean, this is where I followed the guy I was telling you about that has 8 or 10 businesses and he makes an incredible income every month. So, yeah, so we'll definitely talk after the fact. So, any last words of wisdom, David, before we sign off?
No, I'm so appreciative of you and your platform. And, the construction industry is largely underserved and overlooked by technology and AI and all these things. And you're adding a ton of value in the space. And I just so appreciate you and your work. And, I did see a stat last week. I was in Atlanta at an M&A conference that $14 trillion is going to change hands in the next 10 years, all those baby boomers retiring. And so it's a massive opportunity, yes, to make money, but we have a responsibility to help those owners transition and make sure that value isn't lost. And a lot of these business owners' retirement is their business. So, this is absolutely a self-serving interest in that, like, our economy will collapse with 14 trillion just leaving overnight. And so questions about buying businesses, or I can help you sell your business or anything like that.
Absolutely, Dave. And one last little tidbit. I was at a conference actually 2 or 3 weeks ago in San Diego, and they said that they talked about exactly what you said, that the SBA, so if someone wants to pick up, a few businesses, the SBA loans have become a lot more lenient because the government does recognize this, what did you say, $14 trillion dollars? If they don't find a way for capital for people to buy these businesses, then they lose 14 trillion plus the taxes on the business. I mean, it's a huge part of our economy. So it's very, very important. So I would say if you're looking at buying a business right now, um, SBA loans are a great way to go, and they're more lenient. They actually want to help you get into this business. There's a lot of little nuances that go with it, but I just thought, wow, I didn't realize how, that's big. Yeah, it's wonderful. Well, David, I appreciate you. Can you share what your website is? And I'll put the rest of your links inside the description so people can go visit you if they are interested in buying or selling a business.
Absolutely. Like you said, I'm on all the channels, especially LinkedIn, but you can go to Topline Ops, OPS. It's short for Topline Operators. So toplineops.com.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited, David. Thank you so much for being on the Savage Angel podcast. And we will see you in our next episode. Thanks so much. Bye.